In Greek, the word Anastasia means to rise, and this is the most suitable name for Albert Anatasia, who went from being an orphaned Italian boy to one of the most feared and bloodthirsty mafia in New York, USA, with the nickname Lord of the Executioners. Welcome to Detective TV channel. Albert Anatasia's real name is Umberto Anatasio, born in 1902 in the city of Calabria, Italy. When Umberto was just 10 years old, his father, a railroad worker, passed away in an accident, leaving his wife with 10 children, and only 5 years later, Umberto's mother could no longer support the children. So at the age of 15, Umberto and his 3 brothers, Joseph, Anthony, and Gerardo, asked to board a cargo ship from Italy to America to do odd jobs, and when the ship just docked at Brooklyn Port, the brothers secretly left the ship, leaving their homeland to come to a new land full of opportunities. New York, USA. With no education, no relatives, no connections, a short time later, the young Umberto returned to the Brooklyn docks to work as a porter for cargo ships, the holy land of Italian crime families in New York. Umberto went to prison for the first time in 1921, when he was only 19 years old, after arguing and stabbing to death a porter named George Torino. Umberto was quickly arrested and sentenced to death. While awaiting execution at Sing Sing prison, he decided to change his name from Umberto Anatasio to Albert Anatasia to protect his family's reputation. Anastasia's brother later said that his younger brother did not want the whole family to be humiliated by giving birth to a murderer. It was in Sing Sing that Anastasia's calm demeanor and equanimity in the face of violence caught the eye of Jimmy, the Shiv DeStefano, the barber of death, who fixed the hair of Sing Sing's death row inmates before they were sent to the electric chair. Jimmy connected Anastasia with boss Lucky Luciano, who was challenging the old ways of the Italian mafia in the United States. At that time, Luciano had no achievements and was born in the United States, while if he wanted to climb the ranks of a big boss, he had to have a long criminal record and definitely come from Sicily, Italy. To make up for his shortcomings, Lucky Luciano really needed a young, Italian, and ruthless killer like Anastasia. True to his older brother's nickname Lucky, all 4 witnesses to his murder suddenly disappeared from New York, unable to attend the trial. Without witnesses, the jury could not convict Anastasia, and so the murderer was released after only a year in prison. After being released from prison, Anastasia immediately became a member of the International Longshoremen's Association in New York, a cover for organized crime, and quickly submitted to boss Joe Masuria, who ruled Brooklyn at the time. Although outwardly acting as a devoted underling to Joe Masuria, in reality, Anastasia was only loyal to Lucky Luciano, who was still plotting to overthrow the older generation and merge the Italian and Jewish criminal organizations. One evening in April 1931, at the height of the Castellamarese Mafia War, Anastasia lured Masuria to an Italian restaurant called Nuova Villa Tamaro on Coney Island. While the gang played cards in the dining room, Anastasia, along with several other hitmen including Vito Genovese, Joe Adonis, Benjamin Siegel, and Ciro Terranova, coldly dispatched his former boss, clearing the way for Luciano, the infamous executioner. Over the next decade, Anastasia rose through the ranks of the organization and became such a ruthless killer that the name Anastasia became synonymous with the verb to kill to New Yorkers. In 1932, Anastasia was twice convicted of murder, but neither time did he serve a day in jail because witnesses either disappeared or were too frightened to testify against him in court. To reward his underling Luciano, who was now the most powerful boss of the Italian mafia in America, promoted Anastasia to the position of leader of the mafia assassins along with Louis Buckleter, the only mafia in history to be sentenced to death. So, true to his name meaning rise, the orphaned boy Umberto now had a notorious army of death in his hands. Anastasia's group of Italian and Jewish assassins, who had committed between 400 and 1,000 different murders in America, also known as the Brownsville Boys, chose a secret room in the candy store of the legendary Godfather, Capone, as a place to gather and sign contracts. In addition, Anastasia also headed the Mangano Mafia family, which later changed its name to Gambino and is still extremely powerful today. In 1935, Anastasia once again made a contribution to Luciano and proved her mettle to all the bosses by saving the life of prosecutor Thomas E. Dewey, who would later send the boss's entire army of assassins to prison. The Godfather's counsel ordered hitman Dutch Schultz not to kill the notoriously tough prosecutor Dewey, fearing that Dewey's death would start a series of large-scale arrests targeting the Italian Mafia. Schultz, notorious for his indomitable nature, defied the council and ordered Anastasia to find and kill prosecutor Dewey. Unfortunately for Schultz, Anastasia immediately informed Luciano and the entire Mafia council of this plot, and just a few days later, Schultz was shot dead in a bar in New Jersey. When his boss and his colleagues were arrested or had to flee to Italy, Anastasia's ruthlessness still kept her alive. All those who intended to betray him to save their own lives disappeared or died mysteriously, such as the assassin suddenly fell from the balcony to his death. By 1940, he was rich enough to build a 25-room mansion in Fort Lee, New Jersey, a suburb of New York with many fake walls, connecting tunnels and a basement dedicated to torture. However, this boss's fortunes began to decline in 1952 when he began to be watched by the authorities for tax evasion, using a fake name and countless accusations against him. Anastasia argued to the police that he had not paid taxes for many years because he had no job, no income, and lived on government benefits. But when the jury proved that the giant mansion in New Jersey was his, Anastasia was speechless. While busy denying his guilt in court, boss Anastasia did not know that his power at home was wavering. From the 1940s to 1950s, Anastasia had built a strong relationship with his mentors in the profession, Luciano and Frank Costello. At the same time, he was also the deputy of Godfather Vincent Mangano. But Mangano hated Anastasia because the deputy often crossed him, only obeying Luciano and Costello. After many fierce arguments, Vincent Mangano finally disappeared, and the body of his younger brother Philip Mangano was found in a swamp with 3 bullet holes in his body. After this extremely reckless killing, Frank Costello handed over the entire Mangano crime family to Anastasia so that Anastasia could protect Costello from the clutches of drug lord Vito Genovese, who was a childhood friend and longtime partner of Lucky Luciano himself. Vito Genovese was still a relatively new force at the time but had already dreamed of becoming a boss. Years of working in the drug business had given Genovese a keen eye and a sharp mind. He immediately understood that to eliminate Frank Costello, he had to oust Anastasia. Together with Godfather Carlo Gambino, Genovese assassinated Costello. Although the assassination failed and Costello survived, a short time later, the fearless Frank Costello withdrew from the underworld and bought a luxury house in New York, grew flowers all day, and occasionally met and advised a few former colleagues. Frank Costello had left the game, and then it was Anastasia's turn. On the morning of October 25, 1957, Anastasia went to get a haircut at the Park Sheraton Hotel, now renamed the Park Central Hotel, New York. Suspicious, Anastasia's driver and bodyguard suddenly wanted to go for a walk, leaving the boss alone in the barber shop without any protection. A taboo for the Mafia. When Anastasia had just laid down on the chair to wash her hair, 2 assassins wearing scarves covering their faces rushed in, aiming to shoot the boss. With the combat experience of a notorious hired killer, Anastasia immediately jumped up, dodged the first round of bullets and rushed in to defend. However, because of panic when being ambushed unexpectedly, Anastasia mistakenly attacked the reflection in the mirror of the assassins and was quickly shot dead. Anastasia's assassination became a shocking event in New York at that time, and the photo of Anastasia lying dead in a white towel appeared in many newspapers for a long time. The Diocese Catholic Church in Brooklyn refused to hold a funeral for a criminal, so Anastasia's family had to send him off at an unknown funeral home in Brooklyn. Only a few friends and relatives attended the funeral of the former boss, and in 1958 his family changed their surname to Anigio and emigrated to Canada, putting an end to the bloody Anastasia name.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And as always, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next one.